Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Vice President of Solution Strategy here at Regalix. And I want to welcome a fantastic guest we have for the program today, Ursula Ringham. Ursula, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Ursula has a really interesting job and role at SAP that we're going to be talking about today. She is the Global Head of Influencer Marketing. Ursula,
Wow.
Tell me about that. What, in SAP speak, what does that mean?
Well, in my speak, I would
Okay.
say that I get to work with a group of thought leaders. I call them trusted advisors. And these are people that can talk about the business challenges and successes our audience face. So it's a lot of thought leadership content that we're trying to build with these collaborators.
Okay, so how do you find them? Like, what's your criteria for selecting somebody to be an influencer?
Well, that's interesting you mention that, because I have in the personal side and then what we do at SAP. I'm someone that's always on social media. I've been in the social media space for 6+ years and worked with influencers on a smaller scale during that time. And I follow people.
Okay.
So I might be following some of you out there right now.
All
You don't
right.
know it. And what I do is I'll follow people and then I'll talk to other people that are in the know, because there's this whole community. Everyone kind of knows each other. And I also use tools at SAP. There's software tools out there that help you dive in and find different people by criteria. You can search by search words, hashtags,
Okay.
whatever you need. And that's how I find people, is just by reading their content, reading their tweets, reading their LinkedIn profiles, reading what they publish out there. And I like to do a big deep dive on who these people are, because they're going to represent our brand by their voice.
Okay.
We want to make sure that they're the right fit.
That's beautiful. So I remember back in the day when I used to be very active on the SAP's community network, and they had scoring systems. If you help answer a question, if you publish an article and all that. And I was lucky enough to win some of the awards as biggest contributor a couple of years in a row, I think, around enterprise mobility. But so that was one way of scoring. And then you have the SAP mentor environment, and those are kind of subject matter experts that get involved in different programs at SAP. Most of them don't work at SAP. And then you have the influencer program. How are those different?
Well, it's interesting you mention that, because in my perspective, I see 5 pillars for influence. So we have the traditional influencers that I was just describing, kind of the business influencers, people that know a lot about, as I said, these business challenges. Maybe they're thought leaders in that area. And also they are a community. They have associations that they're with, or organizations. That's the first pillar. The second is traditional analysts, right?
Okay.
So you have traditional analyst firms. It might be like an analyst, for you out there that don't know this, it might be like a Gartner or an IDC or whatnot. But then you throw into the mix customers. Right, SAP customers are great influencers. You also throw in partners, because partners are part of the ecosystem that help us with our customers to use our software. And then you throw in employees. So you mentioned some mentors are, SAP employees. I'm an SAP employee. I can have influence too.
Yeah.
So I look at it as the 5 pillars, and how we work together is I'm trying to look at projects and different campaigns that we can integrate everyone together, because we should be part of this whole umbrella to build that awareness for SAP.
That's fantastic. Now, talk to me about the role of an influencer. Do you see influencer marketing becoming more important in this age of kind of fake news, and where you can have overseas content manufacturing environments where they're just producing fake news and different kinds of things like that? Do real influencers, are they more important to the ecosystem now, or less important?
Great question, Kevin. So the consumer side is very different from B2B. And you mentioned fake news. We have to be very careful of that these days. And Twitter has done an audit of itself, where it's gone in there, and you'll have some influencers that might have 100,000 followers, and suddenly they're down to like 30,000 because they had a bunch of fake followers. And so we're really cracking down on it. There are different tools out there we can use. So when I find an influencer, I definitely put them through this tool to see, what kind of followers they have. So in my opinion, though, in a marketing perspective, are influencers going to be more important? Yes.
Okay.
Right now, people don't necessarily trust brands.
Okay.
Who do they trust? They trust other people. And influencers are people that have a following because people trust their opinions.
And if they're legit, those could be decades worth of followers that have been there for a long time.
And when you look at their different channels, it's not just social media, it could be the blogging side of things. You know, obviously they could have a YouTube presence. They could be associated with some kind of organization that has tons of followers and they have respect. So B2B is a little different because they have to know more about the technology side. They have to really know about the subject matter. It's not just taking out some lipstick and putting it on. It looks good. It's not a pretty picture. It's not Instagram, where the photos are what everyone follows. It's the content that's important.
So they can read and they can appreciate the expertise or the strategy
Yes.
they're reading from somebody, and that gives them credibility by themselves.
Correct.
They associate what they're saying with truth or with at least reasonable logic, and they follow them because they get value out of it.
Yeah, and they base it sometimes on research that they've had, and that's where when you ask like in this ecosystem of influencers, like analysts could write these amazing white papers or research paper, and then you can have an influencer comment on it.
Yeah.
So you can merge the two together.
Wow. So let's address some issues for the marketers out there. Where is the biggest value from having an organized influencer program where you are finding influencers and you put them in a program? Where's the real value and how do you measure that?
So you measure the value. There's several ways you can do that. There's metrics that you can follow for anything from how many clicks, downloads, because usually with a influencer you're doing some kind of campaign. So it might be a blog or a video and there's a call to action. So you're leading someone to maybe a demand gen page. So that's a way that you can measure it. You can also measure by impressions if you're at an event with hashtags. And there's certain ways that you can track an actual influencer's tweets and how it relates to content that they're promoting that's yours. So there's ways that you can do that. But ultimately, like my view is I want to build a world-class influencer program that will help SAP become a top 10 brand. Right now we're 17.
Okay, you're close.
And our share of voice, the more that it's heard, the more that it's echoed out there, the more that it's shared, that will be a success if we can kind of show how SAP is moving up the ladder there to being a top 10 brand.
Okay, so you find in market influencers out there, you organize them, you have people responsible for kind of taking care of them and understanding them, who they are and what their impressions are, all that. But what do you do with them?
What do we do with them? Build a relationship, a lasting relationship. That's the one thing. I mentioned it earlier that in the past, people in the company might have a one-off, a blog here with one influencer or a video here. And that's not really what influencer marketing is about. It's about building that relationship like you and I. We've known each other now for over a year. And we want to work on projects together because you're a trusted voice that I want that audience, the prospects out there that maybe don't know that SAP has these business solutions for their business challenges. And that's the main thing, is building the relationship and then being consistent and working with those influencers.
So how do you see influencer marketing evolving over the next few years? Do you see, are there digital tools out there that are changing the way are people reading less white papers from influencers and they're moving to video? How do you see it evolving?
I think it's going to become part of our DNA. I really do, because like even for myself, I don't have a huge social presence, but people do follow what I say, and I'm an SAP employee, but I can influence in different ways. And like we were talking about, I mountain bike, and there's different things that you can do. So I see people marketing. That's what's really going to be evolving, and we're already there, but it's going to be even more so. And that's why Twitter's cracking down. The little check, the verification. They want to make sure that person is real. I think that's going to become more and more important in marketing. Because I know for us, the top thing I have to do with my core influencers is make sure they're legitimate, make sure their followers are real. And that's going to be important moving forward, is authentic, real people.
So it was for the last few years, we were in the Wild West. And matter of fact,
there's some,
I know, really, I would get ads sent to me daily by 100,000 followers in Twitter. And I didn't ever do that, okay? All you guys out there are real. Anyway, but everybody was trying to sell me a list of groups. So
that's the easy button. That's nothing.
But you can recognize those when somebody says they have 50,000 followers and they're following the same 50,000. It just.
We also look at engagement and how you respond. And so if you see someone out there that only has one tweet once a month, you're like, what's going on? You're not really engaging, because each social platform has different ways of engaging
Yeah.
with people. LinkedIn right now for B2B is great. We have, you interviewed Kevin Cochran like a month or two ago. He's our CMO for the customer experience side of the business, used to be called Hybris. He's rocking it out there right now.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, he's sharing himself, his authentic self, about his running and biking, but then also about being a CMO and marketer. And he's someone I would definitely follow just to see how a true influencer, he's an employee of SAP, but he is creating influence.
Absolutely, and he's a phenomenal person to interview. He's so much fun.
Yeah.
Man, so much energy.
Energy, a lot of
There was
energy.
electricity in the room. So thank you, Ursula, for sharing the kind of inside process on how SAP kind of manages influencer marketing, the value they find, and tactically how they actually implement. So thank you.
Great, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank all you guys for watching the program today.